Hello, friends. I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope it's fantastic. Everything here is great. And Ignacy, Portal Games Ignacy, asked a question this week on his Board Games Insider podcast guild on BGG that I thought I would talk about here. Maybe ask you here if you want to answer it. But it ties together my board gaming stuff and my work stuff, and I'm going to try to bridge the gap here. So let's see what happens. The question was very simple. Why do you like playing games? And for me, my immediate response, and the response that I typed was, I love puzzles. I love solving puzzles. And I love figuring out systems and how they work and why they work. Those are the two main reasons I enjoy playing games. And I think it's evident when you watch me play a game, or you watch me, especially a more in-depth game, or you play a game with me. It's one of those situations, I'm the kind of person that I like to talk about the game after the game. Like, oh, dude, do you think this, that, this is my, it's a puzzle. Like, games are, to me, a series of puzzles. Every turn is a new puzzle that I have to figure out how to solve. Like, I have to make the choice that's best for me, or maybe it's the choice that is worse for you, or whatever. That's a puzzle, right? Like, that's a complex problem, and I like solving problems. That's my favorite thing ever. And if you're like me, solving problems is an addiction that's very hard to turn off. Meaning that that after game talk is me still not letting my brain not stopping to think about the problem. Let's talk about the problem. And so me and my friend Jeff, when we play games together, we talk usually like, oh, if I'd have done this, what do you think about this? And I see a lot of Magic players do the same sort of thing. Talk about what could have happened, what should have happened, if I'd have done this, if I'd have done that. Working out those puzzles, because I think that as players, we like to not necessarily gloat on our ability to anticipate or to have seen various paths, but we want to try to kind of explain our choices, right? Like, I did this because this, and I foresaw this, this, and this. And oftentimes in those conversations, I will find that my reasoning was invalid, right? I made the wrong choice. And because talking to the other person, they go, well, what did you think about this? And you go, oh, I didn't. That's the piece I was missing. And so now my next gameplay is going to be better. And that's the way my brain works, right? It wants to really solve that problem. It wants to really understand that system, and it wants to, it works at that problem long after it's over. I will think about a new game that I've played that I haven't, quote unquote, mastered yet, for long after it's over. An engaging game. I don't think about every game. There's some games that they don't grab me, or they don't offer enough of a puzzle that I really start to think about them a lot. But when I play a new game, say Ark Nova this year, for months, that my brain just thought about Ark Nova all the time. And it's just something that I have a very difficult time shutting off. So let's pivot and talk about work. My job as a software developer, not necessarily the project management. The project management isn't really a puzzle. That's just more like resource management, right? But the problem solving of being a software developer, not only is the software as a whole solving a problem, it's solving somebody's issue. My issue is I need a way to keep track of my hours that I spent on individual projects this week. All right, I'll build a software tool to fix that problem. But inside of that software tool, there's going to be hundreds, maybe thousands of problems to solve. All right, what's my best way to present this information to the user? What's my best way to interface with the user and get their input back? What's my best way to store that? What's my best way to manipulate what I stored? There's 1,000 problems to be solved, and my brain really likes that stuff. So, the problem for me is shutting that stuff off. It's really difficult for me to do. Very, very, very difficult for me to stop thinking about a problem. Always has been. And years ago, when I was having significant personal issues, significant family issues, I got caught in this like twist of anxiety about all of the problems in my life, and my brain wouldn't shut up about any of them, and it became this nightmare that I was living in. And as you know, I went through therapy and all that sort of stuff to help with that, and it's helped a lot. But my brain is still come back to that puzzling mode. I have a problem. How do I solve it? And what I have discovered, for me personally, this is the biggest challenge in my professional life, balancing between my day job and this new side project. I find that when I get really honed in on my day job and I'm really enjoying the problem that I'm solving there, I have no energy for anything else. Like, my brain just wants to work on that problem, and I just work on it until it's done. And it's the same thing with the side job. I find that I get assigned a new task, and I go, okay, I think I have a concept of how to solve that task, and then I go until it's done. And I can't, it's very difficult for me to switch back. Even like I will tell myself I will work 3 hours tonight or 2 hours tonight or 1 hour, whatever it is, and then I'm going to stop. I try to set a limit. The fact of the matter is, I generally stop at a stopping point. All right, I got this half of the problem solved. I'll stop there. And then I go to bed. And I have a hard time not thinking about it. But I go to sleep pretty easily. So it's not like that keeps me awake. But as soon as I wake up in the morning, brain goes again. The good news is I wake up generally 2 to 2.5 hours before I start my day job. And so I have about an hour and a half in the morning to work on the side job, which is what I've been doing for a while now. It's just, because I wake up and I go, oh, I know how to fix the problem. Sleep me figured it out, and so then I go solve the problem. But then if I don't solve that problem in that hour and a half or hour window, 2 hour window in the morning, it's very hard for me to switch back to my day job and do something else over there. Thankfully, this past weekend I told you we had a new release, a bunch of new stuff. I got assigned 6 new tasks. I finished all of those already. I've taken on extra tasks and finished those. Well, that's not true. I've taken on an extra task and finished it. And they've all been half hour, or maybe 2 hour long tasks. Some of that is just me doing research. And so it's been really easy for me to just knock that out. Cool. Now I can just pause and I can do work. And I work. And what I found is it's a really good balance for me. It's a really good, because my brain craves those problems, right? And the work that I'm doing in my day job right now is very mundane and boring. And I have to kind of get through that to find the problems that I need to solve, right? There are definitely problems down the road on the work that I'm doing, but I have to do this mundane, boring stuff to get to the problem. And I find that doing that mundane, boring stuff, my brain is now thinking about the next problem that I have to work on the side job. And so I lose a little bit of focus, and then I go, all right. And so what I have found is throughout my work day, I can do the mundane stuff, build up to the problem, and then at lunchtime I can switch, do a task or part of a task, switch back, and it keeps my brain constantly engaged in puzzle mode. And that's been working really well. I like staying in that frame of reference. The hard part is fitting everything else in. I still have to cook. I still have to clean. I still have to take care of my relationship with M. I still have to take care of my relationship with my children. I still have to do activities with my children. I still have to do all the normal things that a normal person has to do while balancing this. I need to solve puzzles. This intense desire to be a puzzle solver. It's been a really interesting experience so far. As I've told you this whole time about the side thing, I'm really, really happy with it. It's really engaging, really fun. It's really interesting, not only from a user perspective, but from a coding perspective, it's very interesting. And it has real value. Like, people are seeing real value from my work, and that's really important to me. It always has been. Whereas some of the mundane stuff that I have to do currently does not provide real value. But when I hit those problems along the way, I have been able to generate real value at work, and that's been really rewarding also. And so I'm getting like a double dose of reward, and I'm keeping my brain engaged more, which has been really, really good for me. And of course, there's money. I mean, I don't need it, but it's certainly nice to have. So there you go. I don't know. Why do you play games, and why do you feel that way? Why do you? I don't know. That's not how the question was asked. I forget exactly how the question was asked, but it basically came down to why do you play games? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know to sound smart is obstinate. 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 It's an adjective meaning inflexible in one's opinions and attitudes, refusing to change or accede to the wishes of others. The male sex still constitutes, in many ways, the most obstinate vested interest one can find. Francis Pakenham, a British social reformer. Obstinate. Obstinate. Is it not obstinate? No, it's obstinate. Yeah, it is. I mean, that's what they're... Anyway. Good word.